Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at chapter 34 of Peopleware, which is called Making Change Possible. The early assertion of the chapter is that people hate change, and when the authors say people hate change, they mean it very strongly. Change, growth, and innovation and so on are all great buzzwords that people like to say and to believe they want because it suggests improvement. But the problem is that they typically apply to other people and not to themselves or ourselves. In fact, if you've ever wondered why it's so hard to change others, just try changing yourself. And it's true. Change is hard, especially when you and other individuals and other teams and organizations have put so much work and effort to being successful in the current environment. At best, people have habits that they've cultivated to thrive, and at worst, they're just used to the status quo and are thus resistant to change on principle. Machiavelli once said, "It should be considered that nothing is more difficult to handle, more doubtful of success, not more dangerous to manage, than to put oneself at the head of introducing new orders. For the introducer has all those who benefit from the old order as enemies, and he has lukewarm defenders in all those who might benefit from new orders." And the particularly unfortunate side effect of this is that there's an imbalance of input from others. Namely, that the ones who have something to gain are less enthusiastic of supporting your cause than the opponents are of blocking you. When we make changes, it's not guaranteed that we'll succeed, and the uncertainty is usually more compelling of a consideration and, honestly, a deterrent than the potential gains are. There's something called the resistance to change continuum that should be used as a mental framework when thinking about imposing some new changes on your team. It categorizes people into three groups. First, the blindly loyal. Second, the believers but questioners. And third, the militantly opposed. The first group will follow you easily. The last group will oppose you to the very end because they want to. The middle group requires some convincing, but can be brought to see where your head is at. The first and last groups are your enemies, and the middle groups are your friends. Why the blindly loyal are your enemies is not particularly obvious, but it is because if they are open to new things, they will take ideas from anywhere without any vetting. The middle group, the believers but questioners, are your friends because they force you to refine your ideas and defend them and ensure that they really are worthy of implementation. A common but naive way of seeing change implemented in your organization is to assume that there's an old status quo and then a change, and thus the new status quo is achieved. This fails to take into account some intermediary steps, like the chaos that ensues between paradigms, the ideas that are offered by team members to alleviate the strain, and the practice and habit that gets formed as people adapt. Only once you've gone through those phases do you have a new status quo. The final section of the chapter is called Safety First, and it emphasizes the importance of making your people feel safe when they go out on a limb to suggest a change. We learned that chaos is a part of starting a change, and that can look like a loss of mastery. It can look like lost time and resources. And it can look like a lot of other things that people would rather not have on them. As a result, the authors say, change only has a chance of succeeding if failure, at least a little bit of failure, is okay. That's all for this video. I hope you found it helpful and thought-provoking, and I'll see you all in the next one.